All right, guys. So, welcome to Python FUTA tutorial channel. You can see the Telegram link on the channel on this screen capture. So, in today's video, we are going to be learning how to install the LiClipse editor. Yeah, so the LiClipse editor is actually it's called lightweight Eclipse. The Eclipse editor is a general purpose editor which is mostly used for Java, but you can use it for web design and other programming languages. It supports a lot of programming language. If you want to know more about Eclipse, you can check about it on the internet. There's a lot of videos. It's an open source platform, so it's under continuous development and it's always under updates. It was the default platform for Java before, but currently, Visual, not Visual Studio, Android Studio is actually the default IDE for Android. But before Android Studio, I remember when I started developing in Android or Java, we actually used Eclipse. So after some time, it was quite difficult to use Eclipse. You had to do a lot of download and configurations, and it was not very easy. So when not Visual Studio, Android Studio came into place, it simplified things because of the automation of things. Android Studio is automated, IntelliSense, and all those. So Eclipse is still a very popular IDE because it supports all kinds of programming language, even Arduino and microcontrollers. Many things, since it's open source, you can use it for many programming language. So in this video, we're going to be learning how to install LiClipse, lightweight Eclipse. So let's get to the video. Now, light with Eclipse, LiClipse is actually an IDE based on Eclipse, but it's lightweight. It comes in with the PyDev package or plugin. The PyDev package or plugin is a plugin. It's a Python Eclipse plugin. It supports it has a lot of features. I won't be talking about them in this video, but and you can also use it for web. Let's check some. Let me just show you guys some information. So, um, you see LiClipse. All right, so this LiClipse provides a new experience, for Eclipse users, a fast editor. There's a lot of things. What do I use LiClipse in Eclipse? You see, select. Okay, so these are just thoughts about LiClipse. So LiClipse is very good. It's a very good editor, and it's specifically used mostly for Python programming because it comes in with every Python already set up. Even though you need to do a few things like I'll be showing you. There's also PyCharm, but I'm not going to be showing you guys PyCharm in this channel. You can check about it on the internet if you like to use PyCharm or if you already have it. But in this video, we're going to be looking mostly at LiClipse. Yeah. So let's get to it. So you will need to download LiClipse. You need to go to the LiClipse website. The LiClipse website. Here is the LiClipse website. That's www.liclipse.com, and you normally have to go to downloads. In fact, here is the LiClipse website, liclipse.com. You see, yes. So initially, they just tell you a few things about LiClipse, the uses, what it supports. You see, it supports Java. I think it even supports Django. Django is actually a Python framework for designing back for web development. Let me put it that way. So you support Django and many other stuffs. Also Java, you can use it for Java. I think later on I may have a channel where I'll be teaching Java. So you can maybe I'm going to be using Eclipse for that. So you can use it for Java too. And you see it also has PyDev, it has Flak and Flake and many other stuff. So let's go to download and let's go quickly to download. Download. Now I can't find the 32-bit version of this. So if you have 32-bit on your computer, I will advise you to just check for LiClipse 32-bit version because I can't actually see 32-bit here. But this PC is 64-bit, so I'm not really worried. But it's rare to see an operating system still running on 32 bits. So it's good to install a 64-bit operating system. Like I said, it just deals with the addressing mode of the computer, and 64 bits are faster for our current modern day programs, which are very large and need a lot of memory and all stuff. So so I can't find the 64 bits. So let's download the 32 bits, the 60. I mean, I can't find the 32 bits. So we're going to download the 64 bits. You see, you have Windows, macOS, and Linux, any of your operating systems. So this is Windows, so we're going to take the Windows version now. You click and like click it. I don't know if the internet is actually working. Okay, I already have it downloaded, so I'm not going to download it in this video because I have it here. I have it here in programs. I have it here in programs. So here is it, LiClipse. So I am going to install it from here. So I'm going to cancel this. I'm going to cancel this. And so that's it for how to get it from the internet. So let's go into the installation. So you double click. All right, you run. I think as administrator also. Do you run as administrator? Right. All right. Yes. So you just wait. So you accept the terms of them. Accept the agreement next. Take note of this location. You see, you can just maybe copy it somewhere. I don't know. Might never be important, but sometimes you just want to copy it. Then you just want to copy it somewhere. So like it may not be necessary, but we just want to do it sometime. Would you like to install the folder anyway? Yes. Next. Like I've installed it before, like in the other user. This PC has two users, so create desktop icon, of course, install. So that's it. We're gonna give it some time to get installed. All right, so we are giving it some time to get installed. All right, so we want to start it right away. You can see the shortcut on the desktop. We want to start it right away, so finish. We click this so we can start once we are done. All right, okay, so we are ready to go. We can maybe close this. So this is also very important. This is where your workspace is. Every new project you create will actually be here. I want to change this part so it should be where I can do some control. So I want it to be here. I want it to be in this folder. Let me show you guys in Python project, and I want it to be in LiClipse. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to desktop, Python projects. I'm going to create a new folder here called LiClipse. Or let me use LiClipse. All right. And another folder called LiClipse workspace. So like let me use underscore because it may be useful later in the future. No spaces between file names can really create some problem when you're programming. So sometimes you always want it to be single. So yeah, so this is my workspace now here. So select. All right. So use as default and do not ask again. Yes, always use this as a default. Let me refresh this so I can see the latest. I don't know why is the file location. Why is it not showing the icon properly? I don't know why. It should show the Eclipse icon. So Now, we are asked to select the theme. I normally like the dark theme as a programmer. Most programmers like dark theme because we do program at night a lot, and at night you don't want that bright light from your computer disturbing your eyes. So we always take the dark theme. So I take the LiClipse dark theme. You can go to advanced option if you're somebody who likes to. Maybe you want to use Sublime. You have a particular kind of setting you want. Maybe you can do a lot of things from here, but I don't want advanced, so I'm taking liquid dark theme. Okay, all right. So here we have Eclipse installed, and we can say we are ready to run our first Python program. But what I want you guys to know is Eclipse does not install Python. You need to watch the previous video I did on installing Python. You understand? Because LiClipse is going to ask us where Python is installed on our computer. So that's the main things I want. That's the main thing I want to show you guys here. So for example, let's say we want to create a new. You see PyDev here. PyDev automatically comes with LiClipse. So it's like develop for Python. You see Python everywhere. So in order to create a new project, you understand, we are going to say file, new PyDev. Always go, you see, it's always good to go to PyDev. You see, it was like built for Python to a certain extent. As you see, Python everywhere. Okay, so we just go to new Python project. You can create just a Python file or a Python module or Python package. These are all different things. I'll be showing you guys later. But for now, we just want PyDev. If you go to project, for example, I think let me see what is in general. What was PyDev? Okay, PyDev project. Anyway, so you can use it from anywhere. You can go to new PyDev project, like file new PyDev project. Let me see. So here they will be asking you a lot of things. Um, you see our workspace has been selected. Yeah, take notes. You have to know where your Python file is because you may want to do other things with the Python file. And how Eclipse can be used for Jython and Iron Python. But we have only Python installed. These are just Python. I think this Python with Java, some mixture of Python and Java. Iron Python, I think Python and is it C or something. So these are just different flavors of Python programming. So that we will not look at that. So we are working with Python. So you see, take note of this. It says, in fact, let me give my project a name first. Test one. Okay. No, test two. Let's say test one because there's no class. So this is what is very important. You see, there are syntax here. Choose the version of Python. Why is it important to choose the version of Python? So the interpreter can know what to show you. Like it should know what you want. You need to know what to like suggestions. When you start typing something, it gives you complete it tries to do auto completion for you. So if it knows the version of Python you're using, it makes life easy for it. So we are using Python 3.8, so we tell it actually using Python 3.8. It helps. Then please configure an interpreter. This is very important. This is where it's going to ask us where our Python is installed. So say I want to do a manual config. Now it's going to ask you where is the path to Python. Look at it. It's looking for Python interpreter. It's good to watch. If you have not watched the first video, I advise you to watch it because you I talked about the python.exe file or pypy.exe. So we know where the python.exe file is, and I've told you guys how to look for it. You just go, if you have Python installed, type Python, go to open file location, go to open file location, or here is a Python, go open file location. This is the python.exe file. I want you guys to see. So in order to copy the path, what you do is you come here, okay, copy this path, Control A, copy. All right. Now you go to new, uh, browse for Python or PyPy. I just want to paste it like, but well, let's say we should browse for it. So Let's pretend we are browsing. We will come here and just paste. So that's all, and then we press enter. That's it, will open. Now look what happens. We click Python. This is the python.exe file they are looking for. Once you click it, press open, and that's it. They say interpreter name Python, and it's okay. Okay, it does a couple of things to show you it has actually found Python, and once you do that, you press you select or press OK. So it's doing some stuff. Once this happens, Python have been found. Okay, you should consider upgrading via this one. You are using peak version, or whatever. So you go to apply. They do a lot of things. So we're just giving it. We will have to give it some time to finish up what it's doing. It's very important. All right. So now we clicked on apply. So we're going to click now apply and close. Okay. So we are done. Now we continue our setting for our project. All right. So we are done. I think. All right. So I think we are done. Add project working set. Not very important. Finish. Or let's see next. Nothing. Finish. All right. So let's start our Python program. Okay. Um, Normally you don't want the okay. Let's just go. So you see, they do a lot of stuff, but we are not interested in all that. We want to download our Python directly. So we are going to right click. I think new file. Yes. And we'll just say test one. I believe .py is okay. Finish. Um, Uncheck setting that you should be waiting for ongoing build launch never build. All these you just press okay. So the first thing we need to check is if we are good to go. Print hello world, and we try to execute it by using run and run as one Python. All right, so we are ready to go. Here is the output. Here's the output. So Python. So let's try to do something more complicated. After print hello world, let's write a number that takes asks for a user's name and asks for their ID, and then print welcome. This your ID is this. All right. So say print name equals to in no input print sorry input. This is what we call a prompt. You're asking the user to input a value. Please enter your name. All right. Um, We'll create another variable called UID, like user ID, and we want to convert it to an integer. So I'm going to teach you guys all this later on. I'm just showing you an example of how to use this. Enter 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 your ID. All right. And what next? I'm going to say um, message. I want to construct a message to print out to the user. So message is welcome. I want to use a different welcome something here. Welcome to the command. Your name will be the command. Your ID is something. Please visit something that for more info something. Let's just create a fancy variable here called URL. URL equals to https t.me slash python. All right, so now we're going to use dot format. I'm going to teach you guys all this, so if you don't understand, you don't need to worry. Name, comma, UID. You see, the difference between an IDE and a text editor, like if you watch the previous video, you see they give us a lot of stuff for us, they complete for us, and they do a lot of things, so we don't need to waste time. You just see, you click, once you press name, the variable is already there and all those, so it makes life very easy for us. So most times we prefer to use an IDE, and this is a very good idea. I'm telling you guys, it's a very good idea to use. It's going to help you a lot if you use this kind of IDE. It's cool. So name, and lastly I think this is supposed to be URL. So okay, from here now dot format. So what's happening here is that name is going to fit into this place, UID is going to fit here, and URL is going to fit in here. It's just the, like, that's the basics of this format, the string format method. We're going to learn all this, but this is the format method of the string. Here is a string, is an implicit string creation. Once we do like this, we create a string implicitly, and we immediately call the format method on the string we created, and we pass it the place values. These are like placeholders for the for variables. So like we're going to learn all this later, but this is a simple program, and then I will end it with print message, something like that. Now, I want you guys to note something about the difference between Python 2, because on the manual, you guys, it's Python 2. Control S to save. Yeah. On the manual, it's Python 2. But most of the time, if you want to be a programmer, most of the interpreter you're going to be using is Python 3. Yes, many. Python 2 is because older Unix operating systems and older systems, there's a lot of legacy code written in Python, older codes for operating systems written in Python 2. So when Python had to move to Python 3, it could not make, like, render Python 3, because there were some changes that if Python was just upgraded to Python 3 without, like, if Python 2 was deprecated, like it like thrown away, a lot of legacy code will have crashed, and many stuff will have stopped running on different systems, which people can't be old codes which can't be changed. So a lot of Linux machines and older Linux operating system, for example, most times come because most servers run on Linux. So a lot of these machines have Python 2. The most stable version of Python 2, I think, is Python 2.7. But like a new programmer, it's good to learn to use Python 3. Python 3 is very rich. It supports a lot of new features not supported by Python 2. And it's very important to learn Python 3, not Python 2. Except you're going to be working with older codes. If you're a system administrator and you're working in a back-end server, and you need to do a lot of maintenance on older legacy codes and Python scripts written in the 1990s and the rest, you need, because that was actually the use of Python in the past. It was used by system administrators on Linux operating systems to carry out several back-end tasks and all the rest. But for now, Python now is more of a We call it a general purpose programming language. You can use it for a lot of new things. So data science, cybersecurity, graphic design, and all these stuff. Python is just like it's going crazy, and because there's a lot of development. Everybody is using Python. It's agriculture, climate, geology, everything. We see Python there. So like Python is taking over the world when as a program language, but that's Python 3. So learn Python 3. So one of the differences is if you're using Python 2, you actually see something like raw input. Now raw input is not part of Python 3. You see, it here is also one advantage of an ID. It shows you an error at the spot. You can't make an error. For example, if you come and write URLs, it tells you there's no such variable like URLs. It already tells you that through it. Yeah. So no variable, I think undefined variable. So like IDs are very important. It's very good to use this. I may use this sometimes during our exercises, just so I don't make mistakes. So like you see, it pre-compiles the Python script as you're typing it. There's a name for that. It's my head like um um oh, um like some kind of a live compilation. It has a name. One, as you're typing the code, the interpreter is compiling the code and checking for errors, at the same time. There's a name for that. You guys can check it on the internet. I forget a lot of these things. So like raw input in Python 2, you have raw input. In Python, you don't have raw input. Okay, you have inputs. That's one of the major difference. That's why the Python like Python 2 code cannot be executed with Python 3 because of all this input stuff. And the next one is print. In Python 2, you can write print. Print is like an expression. You see, you can just write print message in Python 2. You understand? You can write print message, but in Python, you need to put braces. Like in Python 2, you can write something like this, print some random stuff, so whatever. But in Python 3, you must use these braces. It's required. You must use braces like this. It's required. Yes, you can't do it without braces. So I just want to show you guys. So I'm going back to where I started. I think, yeah. All right. So here is a simple program. Let's see. You see, at this point, our program doesn't have any problem because there isn't any indication of an error. Now, if your code is too small and you can't see very well, what you can do is you can use Control and plus to increase. I don't know whether it works here. All right, it looks like it doesn't work here. Don't know to zoom out. Let me see. Does it have appearance? Maximum active. Well, it may be somewhere, but it's normally you use Control plus, but it looks like it doesn't work here. I wanted to try to zoom out things for you guys, but it looks like it doesn't work here. Right. So now what we're going to do is we are going to execute this program. Yes, we're going to execute it. Like executing means to run the program. So you can use always save resources if you don't want this annoying pop-up, but I like the annoying pop-up at least. It makes me to know what I'm doing. So please enter your name. You have to know here is where you enter stuff. So my name, Emmanuel. Please enter your ID. Um, Emmanuel, welcome to FUTA. Your ID is this. Please visit this for more info. So here is a very simple program, and I've shown you guys how to use LiClipse, for your videos. So for Python. So here LiClipse is a very simple editor, and most times as a new programmer, you may be tempted to use LiClipse, which is very good, but sometimes and we advise new programmers not to use IDs because it makes life too simple for them. They will not learn these different Python syntaxes easily. They, it's like they are going to be spoiled at a very early age in their programming career. But for older programmers, we like to use ID because it fastens things for us. But you can still use it, it's your choice. But sometimes you prefer new programmers to use the IDE Python. We installed it in the last video, so we prefer to use this like new file. So we prefer to use this because it's kind of what will I say, like it's kind of primitive. So and it helps you to really understand Python, like to become cultured or to become strict in the way you code. You don't code anyhow because you just believe the ID is going to show you the error, and you just code like an uncultured person. But if you use an ID at the beginning, you're gonna be careless. Like, if there's an error, Python will show me, so I don't need to worry about that. Just type anyhow. So sometimes I prefer, and you aren't going to always have a good ID when you want to code. Sometimes you may just have the IDE Python or even Notepad++. So it's always good to learn how to code on Python on a text editor and execute it like I showed you guys in the previous video. You can use the command line to execute the program. For example, let me show you an example here. So here is our project. We are done. Let me close this LiClipse. Now, for example, let's find that project, Python project. You see LiClipse workspace. There's one. Now, here is the file. This is a Python script. Let me edit it with Notepad++ so that you see. All right, so this is our Python script. It looks very funny because this is how old programmers type. They like using editors. Now, let's say you want to execute this program and you don't have an editor, but you have Python installed on your machine. What will you do? One method is to use open with, to use edit with IDE. Okay, you can do this. Because if you install Python, you will have IDE like I showed you guys in the last video, and you can run it from here. Run module. You see, enter. Wrong name, but okay. All right, Emmanuel, welcome to this thing. All right, so that's one way of running it. Now, let's say you don't have IDE, you want to use the command line. Simple. What do? Let's close this. You open and enter a shell here by using Shift and you right click. What? Shift, right click. Open PowerShell. Yes. So PowerShell is still like the command line, but it's an advanced shell that supports Linux, both Linux type, Unix type commands and Windows commands. For example, you can use dir to check the folders, or you can use ls to check the folders. Ls is a Linux based command or something. So now dir shows us the name. So we want to execute the Python from the command line. You must use the Python command followed by the file you want to execute. It's called test1.py. Now I use the tab for auto completion, the tab key on the keyboard for auto completion. Yes, so this dot means the current directory. You should know that dot means the current directory. You can still type like this, it's still going to work. You see now, it's still going to work. Or you can write, you can use dot, it's still going to work. So anyway, um, so any way you want it. So I've shown you guys in this video how to like run Python from the command line using the LiClipse ID, and also how to configure your LiClipse ID to show it where Python is. So these are things usually where people usually have problems when they start with Python. They don't know how to configure the IDs, they don't know how to add Python to environmental variables and the rest. So that's why I'm taking time to show you guys this, so that once we start Python, you guys are going to have different alternatives on how to um, use Python. So that's it for now. And I want you guys, that's it for now. So later on, we're going to learn other stuff. on Python. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Yes, so in the next video, we're going to meet in the next video. Thank you very, very much for the time. Thank you.